can use the card to buy a CD, or you can use it to go off on a travel around the world.
We're back here as ESPN2's coverage continues, gavel to gavel here in the third round. We're going to stay it here for a minute. Let's announce the next couple of picks. Houston, after Carolina took Winslow Oliver from New Mexico, which we detailed a moment ago. Houston picked Terry Killens, linebacker from Penn State. Finally, mid-third round, we have a Penn State linebacker. And Minnesota took Mo Williams, running back from Kentucky. First of all, let me make one aside before we go to Mel with Mo Williams. Joe, you pointed it out. It's very scary when we begin the day and Tim Bayaka-Batuka's with us in New York. Still on.
What's more scary is if Lawrence Phillips winds up in St. Louis and we get a chance to talk to him tonight. That's going to be scary from a time standpoint.
Well, this is never scary. Chris Myers with Jerry Jones. Let's go down to Big D right now and get the latest from the Cowboys. Chris?
All right, thank you very much, Chris. We are with Jerry Jones. Been busy, and you still have a couple of picks coming up in the third round. Let's talk first about the trade. We don't want to make more of this than there needs to be, but Jimmy and Jerry, we saw you two together with Super Bowls. We saw the separation. Now that Jimmy is back active, what was it like dealing with him, a different perspective?
Well, it was very easy to communicate. We share certainly a common ground in the value of trading picks. That has nothing to do with the talent level of the player, but trading the picks. I do think we know kind of when the other one is saying something, kind of how to interpret that. So it was very easy for us to get together, and like you say, knew he could decide on the spot, and I could decide on the spot, so it made it easy.
Much discussion about drafting reserves and future starters, something that at some point you'll have to be concerned with, obviously. Are you doing enough of that?
Well, we like the idea that when you have 11 Pro Bowlers, we like the idea that it makes it difficult to bring a player in. In the last two drafts before this one, we drafted 17 players, and 14 of them are on rosters in the NFL. They're just not on the Dallas Cowboys roster. But I don't want that to, in any way to not emphasize we need starters. And we've got some players here, young players that have a chance. They're to come in, maybe not this year, but certainly be starters in the future. And we think some of the players we've drafted over the last 2 years can be starters.
Which of the three, as we take a look, you go two defensive players and then you go with the center, do you think can be the more immediate starter to help this team more quickly?
Well, potentially our center, our Shiver, right. And only because Ray Donaldson, we want Ray to be in there for 16 ball games if we possibly can, but last year we lost him for the last 6. He was having a Pro Bowl type year, and certainly we know we really needed to back him up. This will keep us from having to go out in free agency. The other thing is that Pittman will also keep us from having to back ourselves up with our rotations out in free agency. It was in no way in any way to diminish what we think Shante Carver will bring to the table this year as far as his role at end.
All right, Emmitt Smith, you told me you've talked to him. You've been talking to his new agent, Eugene Parker. Discussions are ongoing about a contract. Can you tell us if you think you're close in signing him beyond next season?
No, I can't. We're being very sensitive. I certainly learned some lessons in our last negotiation.
What'd you learn?
We basically don't want to be careless as how we approach this thing. I visited with his agent many times, and one of the things we didn't want to do is put any time frames or give any indication of what we were doing or not doing, because that can be interpreted, and usually is, as progress or lack thereof. And so we're not going to say a lot about the negotiation. We're resolved, I think is my best description of our attitude, to get Emmitt Smith's contract extended.
You have put yourself in a position where if you need to, he can be the franchise player. That is an option for you.
Well, we would never have had the franchise tied up when Emmitt came along, but in no way is that meant to do anything. We ought do anything other than certainly it's there. Our intention and goals always have been to not be playing football without Emmitt as long as he's playing football, and that's the resolve that we have right now.
Michael Irvin's situation, we talked to Barry Switzer about this a little bit earlier. Any thought on affect this draft or free agent signing? Worried that you will miss him at some point during the season, either by suspension or legal reasons?
No, not at all, and that's not speculative. Michael has never had an issue, an incident like this, whether it's with the legal aspect of it or with the league, and so there's no rational thought that would have him not playing football this year. And we obviously regret and want him to work through those things and are concerned about making a mistake. But Michael can be a great example to all of us with the big heart he's got of how to make a mistake and come back and then be in the Hall of Fame and do great things. And that's the way for Michael Irvin to have a positive result to this thing.
All right, Jerry, thanks for your time. Have fun with those last 2 picks in the 3rd round. All right, we'll see you again tomorrow. All right, Jerry Jones, you're in Dallas. Let's go to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Chris, and Jerry always so gracious with us and gives us the time, and as he's wont to do. And Detroit traded up in the number 76 slot, originally an Oakland pick. It went to New England. Detroit ended up picking in the 76 spot Ryan Stewart, a defensive back from Georgia Tech. So that pretty much gets you up to date. Before we move on, the tail of the tape. I think it's safe now at this time in the draft on ESPN2 to trot out our own heavyweight, Nick Bakay. The tail of the tape. Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones. Nick, take it away.
Once comrades, now enemies. When Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones parted company, it left a mystery. Who was the genius behind the Cowboys dynasty? Last year, Jimmy had a better draft than Jerry, and he was out of football. But this year, they go head-to-head. Let's get to the bottom of it. Jimma, Jera. Let's see how they stack up at the tail of the tape. Super Bowl rings, Jimmy 2, Jerry 3. Advantage, Jera. Status, Jimmy, employee, Jerry, owner. Advantage, Jera. Draft day needs, Jimmy, linebacker, Jerry, bail bondsman. Advantage, Jimmy. Boat names, Jimmy, 3 rings, Jerry, the SS Greed. Advantage, Jimmy. Spends each morning poring over, Jimmy, the waiver wire, Jerry, the police blotter. Advantage, Jimmy. Off-season priorities, Jimmy hiring a defensive coordinator, Jerry hiring a defense coordinator for Michael Irvin. Advantage, Jimmy. What he looks for in a draft pick, Jimmy, speed, Jerry, willingness to take his bonus in champagne and a free VCR. Advantage, push. Favorite mode of transportation, Jimmy, car service, Jerry, 4 guys carrying his chair. Advantage, Jera. So there you have it. It's so simple when you break things down scientifically. In a call reversed upon further review, the advantage goes to Jimmy Johnson. But Jerry's Cowboys have had more off-the-field incidents than an episode of First and 10. And Jimmy's Dolphins are such chronic underachievers, you'd think he was taking over from David Shula. But unless these guys buckle down and focus on the task at hand, their own teams, this might finally be the year someone else wins the Super Bowl. Until next time, I'm Nick Bakay reminding you, the numbers never lie.
Old St. Nick is at it again. Well, they made a trade today, Jimmy and Jerry, so advantage neither. They're at work. Miami's on deck. Denver's up. We'll tell you Seattle's picking a moment. Mid-3rd round now. We're rolling here. As Seattle has selected in the 3rd round a tackle from Rutgers. So another lineman there, Mel. Robert Barr. It's interesting, Joe. Rutgers has 2 players selected this far. Notre Dame 1.
Yeah.
Just wanted I know. Brown, none.
I guess I chose the wrong school.
Brown, none. I understand. But and also Miami of Florida only 1.
Yeah.
So this is.
But that's going to be solved. Secondly, for Denver.
In a minute. Well, that no. And Florida, Denver with the 78th pick took defensive end Mark Campbell from Florida. Correct?
Yeah. Right.
So Robert Barr to Seattle, tackle. Defensive tackle, defensive end Mark Campbell from Florida goes to Denver. And now Miami is up with 2 picks. One of the ones they got from Jacksonville earlier, about an hour ago, and their regular 3rd round pick. So it's Miami, San Diego. So let's take a look at what Miami has done and what they're thinking about doing and how the weather is down there. Here's what the Dolphins have done first.